So Vedanta is an integrated system of ideas, concepts, and practices, the purpose of which is to promote self-development, right? So we've got to sort of understand a little bit about what this term means. So when we're talking about self-development, we can talk about it in terms of the effects on the personality. So we want to look at two. As we grow and develop as a human being, we develop autonomy and empathy, right? And so we want to look at what both of these things mean. If you look at, for example, the development of a child, right? When the child is, say, 4 or 5 years old, clinging to the parent, can't go anywhere without the parents. As the child gets older and older, there's a natural tendency for it to be able to make decisions on its own, feel comfortable on its own with itself. So when we recognize that that's happening, we can see, the child is developing autonomy, it's growing and maturing. If at the age of 10 years old, a child is still clutching to the parents, can't leave the parent's side, we recognize there's some sort of developmental stagnation. So this is one of the aspects of human maturity. We become more autonomous. But autonomy must be balanced. Autonomy by itself, it can pathologize into what you might call hyperautonomy, self-absorption. We become solipsistic. I don't need anyone. I'm totally on my own. And so you reject any sort of external communication or any sort of external connection. There is this tendency to mistake it for autonomy. We think that because we rejected the help of anyone else, we reject the connection to anybody else, that I'm highly self-sufficient. I live on my own, I don't contact people, I don't need anything. But this is not autonomy, right? This is self-absorption. So in order to balance out any sort of autonomy that we're developing, we have to also develop empathy. So empathy then is the ability for us to connect with other people, other beings, not just people. So in that sense, empathy is the emotional side of it, whereas the autonomy is more the intellectual side of it. Our ability to be with ourselves is because we have a strong intellect. But our ability to empathize with others is because we have developed our emotions. So when it comes to empathy, essentially what it means is that we're able to occupy the other's experience. We're able to occupy their perspective. What they go through, we are able to also go through. We resonate with their experience as if it were our own. Not just that. It's not simply this. It's also being objective to that so that we can act appropriately to the situation. So a simple example. If your child is going through some traumatic experience, you can say, I'm empathizing with the child, but you are also affected. Right? When the child is going through a traumatic experience, they become affected by it. They cry and they feel that they're suffering. Now, if you as a parent say, I'm also going through that in harmony with my child, but you are also suffering, you are also crying, and you're also as debilitated by the experience as the child is, it's not true empathy. This is an emotional contagion. It's fusion. It's not genuine empathy. So when we genuinely empathize with another person, we're able to go through their experience, but we never lose ourselves. We don't get lost in the experience. We retain our autonomy while we are empathizing. So again, a simple example. If a child is bitten by a dog, the child is completely upset, and you know you have to take the child and give it a rabies shot. Now the child doesn't want it. Now, if you as the parent are empathizing fully with the child, you have to retain enough of your own autonomy to be able to say, well, despite what the child is going through, I actually have to put it through more pain because it's in its best interests. That shot has to happen, you know. So autonomy and empathy must be balanced. They must come together. It's not simply a matter of developing just one. So in either one of these, we get one but lose the other. So what we want to make sure is that we're developing both effectively.